Hello and welcome, Dota fans, to FletchDota Episode 4, your one-stop shop for anything and everything Dota 2 related. I am, of course, Fletch, your purveyor of infinite wisdom throughout this journey that many refer to as the metagame. How's everybody doing? My Twitch broadcast ended there for a moment, but I think we're back. I think we're good. I think we're live. I think we are golden for this broadcast. This is, of course, episode 4 of FletchDota. Today, I did have massive thunderstorms. We had thunderstorm warnings come through my area in Houston. There was like tornadoes knocking over skyscrapers, all sorts of apocalypse type stuff. I expected zombies to be coming down my street, but then I remembered nobody lives on my street. I'm like the only guy, so no zombies around me. I'll be fine. Hopefully my internet holds out. I actually cast two I guess they count as professional games this morning in the GG League. And literally, it was a best of 3 series. Game 1 went to one guy. Game 2 went to the same guy, so they won 2-0. As soon as my best of 3 series ended, my power went out. My everything in my house was completely gone. And I was like, well, good thing they didn't want a best of 3. They just wanted 2 in a row. Because if I had to cast a third match, I would not have made it. I would have dropped straight out of the match. Everybody that was watching, I had like 50 viewers this morning watching these games, and not a single one of them would have been able to see game 3. But they did get their results. They got that that vindication from supporting their team and seeing, hey, they won, or maybe they got the closure at the end that, hey, my team lost. Maybe better luck next time. So either way, we got to cast everything. Perfect timing on my powers part holding out. Hopefully it's all fixed tonight. I think it's all good now, although we did have the little internet hiccup there. I hope that's not foreshadowing any sort of issues that we will have. I have some big news for you guys, though. I have some big news. And it's kind of stream related. So where am I right now? I am in Houston, Texas, and this right here is my studio. I am actually building a production studio. I'm trying to become a little bit more of a full-time caster. I've started doing casting on the side, and I've really enjoyed it, and I'm trying to maybe pick up that a little bit more, as well as this new show. I wanted to build a studio for that, so I've been working on a studio. I've got my desk laid out. I've got 3 monitors here. I've got full audio set up, and I'm pretty proud of what I built so far. In the works, though, I've still got to get my lighting fixed up. Right now, I've got pretty amateur lighting for this camera, and I want to get that fixed up. Part of the process, I did just get in the mail this morning. I got a whole bag full of thermal paste. And the reason I have thermal paste is because I've got this guy right here, which I built myself. Let me pull the cords over to me and put this into the screen. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see that? I built this guy myself. It is actual studio lighting. Now, the problem with this, I had these studio lights, which photographers actually use. They have tungsten bulbs. The tungsten bulb looks like this. A little tungsten bulb. This guy glows red hot when you put power to it. When you put 600 watts through this, it glows red hot. Now, not only does it glow red hot, it is red hot. This thing puts off like 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit temperature. I don't know. If I ran 3 studio lights from this bulb, it would be bright enough for what I need. But you want to see me sweating all stream? That's what you would see. There is not enough air conditioning in the world for this small studio space to have 3 of these bulbs in it. So what I've done is this custom light I've built behind me actually has 100 watt LEDs. And actually I have one right here on the shelf behind me. They look like this. And they're actually made for street lights, but I have taken them and I have rewired a couple of things where I have put these inside of studio lighting. So I'm going to have LED studio lighting installed in my studio space here over the course of the next week, I hope. And so you're going to see a lot of improvement in lighting, I think, as I get the studio environment fully fleshed out. And then, the big thing with LEDs, those are 100 watt LEDs. They're the same brightness as these 600 watt tungsten bulbs as this little guy, but there's a lot less heat coming off them. It's maybe 100 degrees Fahrenheit on the actual LED. You can touch it and it feels hot, but it doesn't burn you, if that makes sense. I can touch it and I'm like, oh, this is pretty warm, but I can actually touch it. I can't touch that guy. I can't even, I can put my hand out pretty far out in front of the light when it's turned on, and I'm like, whoa, that's already hot. I don't even want to get closer. I don't even want to touch the metal. So I've got that all in the progress, and I should have some LEDs all good to go here. I just mentioned I got my thermal paste. That was the last thing I need. I have the heat sinks all here. I just didn't have thermal paste to couple it all together, so it wasn't passing heat fast enough, or at least as fast as I wanted it to. I think the heat transfer would have been fine, but I'm kind of a perfectionist when I do that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like the guy that's kind of, what do you call it? Jury rigging some equipment together, calling himself a perfectionist, and I'm not even buying the professional equipment. But you know what? I don't need to buy professional equipment. They want to charge $2,000 for a block LED light that's as bright as I want to make, and I've made this thing. It's like the LED I bought was like $10, I think. And I think I spent another 20 putting together the little transformer block and everything to get the power I needed to it. So not bad. I already had, of course, the casing, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I am working on getting the studio environment. Once I get that done, I can start laying out what I'm going to have in my background. I do have 2 shelves that I'm hoping to line with some books. Maybe get some Dota theme stuff going behind me. We'll have to see. I'd really like to have some Dota theme behind me. I'm not going to go with a green screen. I've fooled around in my head with the idea of a green screen, but I think I like having an actual background, a real background behind me for the kind of setting that I have here at the show. I think that's a little bit better. But I think that's gonna turn out better than a green screen. I think if y'all have some stuff to look at behind me, so you don't always have to just look at me and nothing else. You're like, man, I'm tired of looking at this guy. I want to like read his books behind him on the shelf. That's gonna be an option in the future. And of course, it's not just gonna be like any books. It's gonna be interesting stuff. It's like this one right here. It's concept art books from video games. It's all entertainment related. It's stuff that I like to look at, stuff that I use for inspiration and other things. And like this one right here is the concept art from the Mass Effect series, the entire Mass Effect universe. It's 1, 2, and 3. I love the Mass Effect games. I'm a big fan of those. I've played through them twice now, and the only reason I've only played through them twice is because I need space in between playing through them to let the story fade out of my mind so that I can fully enjoy it again. So, but each time I've just fully enjoyed it on my whole way through. And just on a little side note, guys, I did pick up a sponsor for this stream tonight, but I can't read it because it's in Russian. So I was helping clean out a house today, and in a drawer, no joke, I find this little Russian pack, and I'm like, what is this? I've never seen this before. I have no idea what this is. I open it up, and there's like 50-year-old Russian cigarettes in here. These are like, I think the date on the pack says 62. So 1962. How long ago is that? That's gotta be like 50 years now? 52 years? Russian cigarettes, unfiltered. Like, this is legit just really old tobacco cigarettes. You can even see where they like the little logo on the wrapper and everything. It's a full pack of 20. Nobody even smoked any of them. They're all there. It's even got the little logo thing on the back. So I've got me some Russian cigarettes that are sponsoring my stream tonight. If any of y'all are fans of, I don't even, these aren't even letters. It's like the pi symbol, a P, an H, and an M and an A. So what is that? Pi Fama is what I'll call it. And then Pabovar cigarettes. For those of you who are fans of Pabovar cigarettes, they're bringing you the stream tonight. So that's my big exciting news about the stream. And along with that, I guess I have to do my obligatory TI4. I don't even want to do it tonight. I was so disappointed. My TI4 compendium prize pool update. I looked at it yesterday and I said, guys, we're only $50,000 away. We're going to hit it tomorrow, huh? I'm going to look tomorrow and see $10 million. And, oh, you need me to show the second word again? I'll show it, but y'all gotta memorize it. Will it focus? Do I need to pull it back some? Prima Madonna is what I'll call it. Prima Donna cigarettes. I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm in DayZ. I love that game. That game is hilarious. I love running around, and it's like a lot of people get all tactical and everything. I'm just running around in like an orange jumpsuit, and I got a cowboy hat and an axe. And I'm like, let's do this, guys. I don't even care about the guns. But TI4, I am so disappointed, guys. $50,000 away, and I get up today and I start planning for my new show. I do preparations, and I've got it right here in front of me, and we are at $9,983,000. We are now $17,000 away from hitting 10 million. That is a whole lot of zeros that I want to see. I want to see us get into, what is that, 8 digits? 8 digits when we hit 10 million? Prima Padochow. Well, that's great. That's exactly the kind of cigarettes I want to be smoking. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you. On a serious note, though, nicotine's actually better than caffeine. I was surprised when I found that out. But I wouldn't recommend either of them for you. They're both bad for your health. But current prize pool, $9.98 million. We are not there yet, guys. There it is, nice and big for you all to see. We have not hit the final prize goal. Victory prediction time. That's all I've wanted in Dota 2. Nobody cared about battle point boosters, Arcana voting, solo champion. No one cared about all these good goals up here. All we want is this victory prediction taunt right here at $10 million. 22 victory prediction taunt. Now, on a serious note, I want to ask you guys what y'all think. Does Valve, this close to TI4, when they hit $10 million, put out more stretch goals? And how many do they put out? Do they go to 15 million? Or do they say we've hit 10 million and now we're really busy with TI? Because what is it? July 18th, I think? Everything starts up for the International 4 coverage. So we are pretty close to hitting that 10 million mark. And I don't know, are they planning ahead with stretch goals? I mean, they know 10 million is coming up. Do they already have them written out? Or do we just, we did it, guys. We hit 22. That's enough. I just don't know at this point. I mean, because it is really close. And how close do you keep adding stretch goals? Or do you just say, we hit them all, congratulations, guys, and then, we just feel like doing something extra special because you hit all the goals? I think I would prefer that, actually. If they, instead of doing a stretch goal now, they just said, thanks, guys, for hitting all the stretch goals, and then they just, they just threw out something random that was not even required for a stretch goal. It's just a free thing. Just, hey, this is to give back to the community. It's not even related to the stretch goals. Just, here you go, guys. Here's something special that we did for y'all. I think that would be a pretty cool way of handling it. And then you don't have to do any more stretch goals to worry about. And you can just chill till TI4. So best of both worlds, I guess, for them. I don't know. That might work out pretty well. Going into TI4, though, I got some bad news, guys. I got some bad news. Maybe not bad news. But it's bad news right now. Right now, this is like the biggest, baddest news I could give you. Because the most loved guy, literally, I do not think there's anybody more loved than this guy. Like, even people who hate Fnatic love Era. This guy, there's no way you can hate Era. You just look at him and you're like, the guy's adorable. He's like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people, if you want to be a Fnatic hater, there's lots of people that hate Trixie, but not Era. Nobody hates Era. Everybody loves Era. They all want Era to do well. And the guy's been missing from LANs, and people have been like, where's Era? Where's Era? Era, what's going on? And Fnatic finally released a letter today. They released an update on how Era's doing. It was written by Hani, so it's actually one of the players involved here writing this up for us. It's not just like some generic press release. It's a pretty in-depth glance from all the way from January to present. And part of the big things they cover, Era right now, so we haven't heard anything about what's wrong with him. Apparently he's got some sort of anxiety disorder. And so traveling and competing at these LAN events and even playing video games at all in his own house has been really detrimental to his health. I don't want to go too specific into details because some of it's probably kind of gross to people, and y'all don't want to hear that. I mean, if you want to hear it, you can read it if you really want to, and I will give y'all the link in just a moment. But basically, it's really detrimental to his health to be traveling a lot, to be competing in any sort of competitive environment. The stress is just so much that psychologically it's eating away at him. And so Era is not going to be able to participate in this. That's why he hasn't participated in any LANs pretty much since January. We haven't even heard about him since then. and he's not going to be able to participate in ESL. He doesn't think he should participate in TI4, but here's the kicker. This is the bad part. Valve has made it pretty clear to Fnatic, or as clear as they can from what it seems. We gave you a list of 5 players that are invited to TI4. If your 5 players don't show up, you aren't playing in TI4. So basically, if Era is not with them, they're disqualified, rather than saying Excalibur can take the place. Now that, again, this is just Hani's side. I haven't heard Valve's side of things, and this is all brand new from them. So Valve should have time to release something. Hopefully they release something fast and go ahead and keep this from bursting out into some rumor wildfire. But maybe we'll hear something by tomorrow from them, or at least next week. But as of right now, Era is not allowed to have Excalibur stand in for him. Now this is confusing to me, mainly because we just had Fear replaced for an injury, medical reasons, by Mason, a largely untested competitive player. Yes, he stood in for EG before, but did he really make any accomplishments on his own as a player? No, he hadn't. And so I don't understand, if you doubt Excalibur, why you let someone in like Mason right before. Now, maybe it's a time issue. Maybe Valve's like, well, you know, they told us about Fear way before this. You know, we've already put everything together to have these people brought in and put at their reservations and all. And maybe that's the issue, is getting everything changed up. Maybe it's too soon to the tournament that they found out about Era. Because I don't know exactly when Fnatic was told about Era. One of the things in this letter, it's really ambiguous about how much disclosure Era had with his team. It really seemed like he was hiding things. And I'm not really surprised. I don't think he would do it to harm people. I think he would more do it because he's like, he doesn't want people to think he can't play because he wants to play. And I've been in a similar boat before where I had medical issues that were interfering. They should have interfered with certain aspects of my life, and I just kept them to myself so that I could continue doing what I love to do. I got away with it, but it doesn't look like Era is. And unfortunately, they've now had to get Excalibur. But at the same time, even if it's different than Fear and Mason, even if you say, hey, this is a different circumstance on Valve's from Valve's perspective, Excalibur, I feel like over the past few weeks coming into competitive Dota, has proved that he can compete at least as well as the people who qualified. And if they're able to have their spot in TI4, and he's what it takes for Fnatic to be able to actually compete in TI4, I don't feel like Fnatic just went out there and grabbed Joe Schmo off the street. You know, they picked a valid player to fill the roster, and they're going to put up competition at TI4. They've taken games from a lot of teams recently with Excalibur on their roster, and the guy's definitely growing into a solid player with the experience that he's been getting. So I'm not too sure about Valve's official stance on it, but it just seems kind of interesting to me that they're going to have issue with Excalibur taking over Era's spot when it is medical reasons. It's not like they're just trying to replace Era. I mean, Fnatic, like, Era is arguably their best player. Some people might say No Tail is, or, you know, maybe Hani, but I think Era is pretty much considered one of the solid cores of their team, so it's not like they would want to get rid of him. But if the guy's sick and can't compete, it's the same with Fear. Fear's been the core of EG for how long now? I mean, he's like the one player that never bailed on them, and he just kept that foundation there for them to build on, and they finally rebuilt their team. So I don't fully understand it, but hopefully they get some better news. And I mentioned I would give you guys the link. This is the official release from Hani. There it is. So hopefully Valve decides, hopefully they get a proper diagnosis from the doctor. You know, send a letter, just like if you need to get off from school, right? You got to get a note from your doctor. So maybe they'll send Valve the note from the doctor. Melk did tweet out today. I really liked this tweet, so I'll go ahead and show it to you guys. I hate this. I really hate that. How do you get rid of Twitter settings? I don't want any hotkeys on Twitter. I don't hardly use Twitter. So Melk's tweet today: compendium vote, Fnatic with Excalibur or Darude after party. 100% to 0%. Everybody's going to vote for Fnatic to be there with Excalibur, is what he's saying, over Darude after party. They want Fnatic to play. Like, I don't know, guys. Fnatic is basically, there's certain teams that you can cast and people come for the tournament. And then there's certain teams that it doesn't matter what tournament they're in, you get 10,000 viewers. Fnatic's one of those teams. They have a large fan base. They are a loved team. And you don't want to segregate a whole section of players and fans that are out there cheering for Fnatic. It's like Na'Vi. If Na'Vi had an extenuating circumstance before TI4, you would figure out how to get them to TI4. If it took a stand-in, you would get a stand-in because they're Na'Vi. You want them to be there. You want Na'Vi in your tournament. You want Fnatic in your tournament. You want Alliance in your tournament. You want DK, IG. You want all these big names to show up. And, of course, Empire as well, guys. I'm not forgetting Empire. I just was naming teams as I went. You know, I love Empire. They're one of my favorite teams. Don't think I'm an Empire hater, please. But just one little thing, you know, it is kind of a somber note, but I do want to give you guys... So, speaking of Empire, a nice little video compilation came out, and there you guys go. It's from Fnatic versus Empire Game 3. They call it the Game of Fails, and I think this is the one. Let me make sure this is the one right here at the end. I gotta mute it so you guys don't have to hear this. Yeah, this is the one. Toby1 writes up a nice little equation summarizing Fnatic's plays at the end of it, and it was pretty funny. It's a nice short little 1-minute video, and I think you'll all enjoy it. Now, going into ESL, there's a lot of things coming out. ESL starts tomorrow, for those of you who don't know. ESL Frankfurt. I've been watching the development of ESL, and I can't help but think to myself, this looks exactly like TI2. And that is big for me, because what that means is now you're going to have the international, and then every single big tournament after that is going to follow the same format and try and be just as big as the international. If you start getting competition for the international from the, what I'll call the private sector of Dota, from simply players and sponsors that's not Valve related, that means only that whenever you have competition enter a system, that only means everyone gets better. Like, look at the workshop. You have people like Anuxi, you have all these game artists that started getting into the workshop. And guys, my first workshop set was accepted into the Dota 2, and it was a piece of crap. It was like this Crystal Maiden, like blocky little crown and terrible textures. And they put it in Dota 2, and it was Cyborg's map blog, and I was all excited. But now, it's like, if you don't have some high definition render for marketing, and you've got to have super detailed textures, and you've got to have a sculpt. I didn't sculpt. I didn't even know about ZBrush or anything like that back when I made my Crystal Maiden set. I made it all low poly. I literally made like little diamond shapes for the crown and stuck them on the crown and just like made a little ring around her head. And I deleted the hood off of her. They didn't have a hair texture, so she just had brown hair under the hood. And so it was literally her brown hair, no hood, a little ring crown with points on it. And that was my Crystal Maiden item. And now it's like, you have to have like feathers and animations and custom particle effects. That's what competition does. So if TI4 starts getting competition from the little guys out there, it's only going to be better for TI5. So I am excited watching ESL develop. Like, if you look, I'll go ahead and pop over to my screen for you guys. So the date, 28th to 29th of June. This is starting Friday, and then the actual events. I thought there's stuff on Friday as well. There should be games on Friday. I don't know. Maybe it starts on Saturday. That'll be exciting. If it's maybe ESL starts on Friday and then the games start on Saturday. Maybe that's what it is. But the game, Dota 2, in an arena, compendium, prize pool, autograph signing, workshop artist, cosplay competition, secret shop. Like, what is this? This looks just like all the stuff that everyone's like, oh man, TI2, there's all this cool stuff that's going to be going on at the Battle Royale concert hall. They've got a secret shop. You can buy Dota 2 items. There's going to be workshop artists there making items. Like, that's what's right here. And it's a huge prize pool. $150,000 plus the player contribution. We're over $200,000 now. And that's while people are donating to TI4 and getting it over 10 million. So this is like the worst time to have a player donated prize pool. Literally the worst time. Along with that, let's see. This is the actual. So the 28th, yeah, the first round of games. So I've got the player grid. So the 28th. So the first round of games actually starts on Saturday. ESL starts on Friday. I guess that's when everyone's going to start getting there, or maybe that's when they're traveling for it. Maybe that's what it was. For some reason, I thought it started on Friday. So it looks like I won't have to worry about competing with it and watching the games. I will actually have both of those days off from casting and from streaming FletchDota. So I can watch every single one of those games. Good, because I wanted to. Let me go ahead and read you all the first round of games. So 11:30, IG versus Mouse. 14:30, VG versus Fnatic. And then 17:30, Alliance versus Cloud9. And then the final match of the day, Navi versus EG. These are all single elimination best of threes. That is rough. That is really rough. I would hate to play in that tournament. I would love to play in that tournament, but I would hate to play in that tournament because you can't make a mistake. You don't come back from the losers bracket in this. You're gone. And you don't want to be gone on day one, but there's only good teams. It's not like there's an easy bracket for you to cruise through, like, oh man, I got a bad draw. No, everyone in that is like, I don't want to play against those in round one. I need some warm-up games first against potato teams, but there's no potato teams. There's no potato teams at ESL 1. And these guys, I mean, they're playing for a first place prize of $80,000. Fourth place and third place are coming out with $20,000. So I'm not surprised there's no potato teams, you know? You don't want to be giving money to people for no reason. 5th through 8th, you each get $10,000. So you get $10,000 just for showing up. So it's not the worst in the world. Hey, we got some spending money for the month just by showing up to ESL. Not a bad thing. Along with that, guys, I don't know how many of y'all are actually going to ESL, but assuming some of you are, for those of you who don't know, there is free train travel on your ticket. I saw a little bit of confusion, so I thought I'd mention this. Apparently it's written in German, but underneath the actual translation, it says that for, I think, 5 hours before and then after the whole event, you have access to the S-Bahn train, which, I don't know what S-Bahn stands for, but Autobahn is like what? That's the car. What's the literal translation in German? I could have told you at one point, but not anymore. But Autobahn for cars, so the S-Bahn must be for subways, I guess. I'm just gonna do that kind of translation. And but you do have full access to that, and they say like take S8 and S9, and you can get there. So if you want to check that out, ESL 1 has directions. They have ticket and venue information on their site. And you'll be able to get train information. If any of you guys are Euros that are showing up to ESL 1, I would definitely go if I was in the area. You can translate for me, Hefla? That'd be great. S-Bahn is inner city train. Okay, so yeah, you take it's pretty much a subway, I guess. And going into ESL 1, hero popularity in Pro Dota 2. So I've been talking about Dota.2p.com. I've really liked their site. They put out some good articles. They put out a new one today that was about hero popularity in 6.81. And they go over all the different heroes that are drafted by the pick or ban percent versus everything in just 2014 as a whole versus what specifically in 6.81. And so you go through the top 5 heroes. I'll just cover those real quick. Batrider, Lycan, Invoker, Mirana, Ancient Apparition. And then the 5 from 2014, Invoker, Batrider, Lycan, Ancient Apparition, Mirana. So a little bit different ordering, but still very popular heroes. I think they were used in different roles as well. And also you have to understand that with 6.81, that actually influences 2014 as a whole. So maybe the big ones to look at, I mean, we still got Doombringer in the top as well. So the top 6, they shuffled around some, but the big ones that they say dropped off is like 7 to 10. You got Ember Spirit that faded away. Ember Spirit's like now down to, let's see, what's his pick percent? Pick or ban percent, 40% Ember Spirit. Whereas in 2014, as a whole, it was 53%. So he dropped way down. People have stopped picking Ember Spirit. They've stopped picking Nyx Assassin as much. And they just go through like Rubik, Nature's Prophet, Treant Protector, Shadow Demon, and Sand King. Shadow Demon's actually gotten really popular in the last week, it feels like. People are loving Shadow Demon again, which is interesting because I feel like sometimes in the lineup Shadow Demon's being run, Bane used to be the hero, like the go-to hero for what they would be doing with Shadow Demon. But now with Shadow Demon, it might just be the Aghanims upgrade, but I don't often see the Aghanims getting picked up, so I'm not too sure that that has much effect. So I'm not sure what it is, but Bane has kind of been replaced by Shadow Demon in the meta, and I really, maybe it's just flavor of the week thing. Maybe that's all it is. because I really feel like Bane's ultimate just really comes into play in the later game a lot more importantly, kind of in the same lines as Batrider. Not the greatest on the positioning, but still pretty strong. But for that Dota 2P article, I'll go ahead and toss that in the chat. Really good article. They go through all the different heroes and they kind of talk about what their opinions are. So if you want to actually read up on each of the heroes that aren't used anymore as much, it's certainly out there. I think it was well written, and I enjoyed glancing through it. I didn't exactly read it word for word because I honestly don't have time to do that on everything I'm looking into. But I do have something else. I noticed something, guys, last night. When I opened up Dota 2, after my stream, I went to play Dota 2, and there's a curious little option. It said what was it? All random deathmatch, I think is what it said. And people were telling me, oh yeah, that's a new game mode they added. And I went and I deselected and it disappeared. And it wasn't on my menus anymore. I didn't want it to be. I wasn't trying to play all random deathmatch. I just wanted to play all pick. But people told me about a console command that you could add it back if you wanted to play it. And I went and looked for that. And I've got that here today. So for those of you who are looking for all random deathmatch, let me zoom in on this a little bit before I swap over to it. So you open up the console and it's Dota match game modes 1048576. Then when you click game modes, you have to deselect all pick and then just cancel out. You can't click save settings because you have nothing selected, but you can cancel and it'll go away. And it'll say all random deathmatch has been selected in your game modes. So there's the way to get all random deathmatch put out there. For those of you who were curious about that, I'll drop that in the chat as well, just in case y'all were looking for that. I found that, and me personally, I don't really care about playing all random deathmatch, but some of y'all might. I've never been one for the deathmatch type games. I've never been big in FPS and shooters and everything. I like more of the RPG style of play, and I think that's kind of why I enjoy Dota as a game, because there's a lot of RPG elements in playing the individual hero, leveling him up, buying your items and everything. It's all there, and a lot of these heroes have really rich backstories. I really enjoy the interactions especially, okay, so already Warcraft 3, these heroes have huge lores because that's just what Blizzard does. Blizzard just, we're going to write you a whole book just on this hero and how he's the mother and the brother and the grandfather of somebody else. So start out with Blizzard, Warcraft 3, you make Dota from the Blizzard heroes. Of course they have huge backstories. Then you send it to Valve and they say, we can't use Blizzard's backstories anymore. So what do? We've got to make new backstories, but we're going to kick it up a notch because we're Valve. And we're going to come out and we're going to make these heroes not just have a past together, but have a future and a present together. So now these heroes are in game together and they're insulting each other. They're using, and it's not just like, haha, I killed you. It's like some relevant insult. It's like Lena makes fun of Crystal Maiden's wolves that raised her or something, you know? She's like, I couldn't even tell you what her exact phrases are, but you hear those little quips come out like Tidehunter and Kunkka insulting each other after they kill each other. I love that kind of stuff, that interactive lore that the players have, and then the voice acting behind it. I think that's what makes these games by Valve. It's just, the simple word for it, I think, is production value. Valve really goes all out in what they do. If they do something, they tend to do it right. And maybe that's why Half-Life 3 never got done, because it's not right. So they aren't going to put it out. They're not just going to, make you something and be like, hey, here's Half-Life 3. Here's a little bit of storyline and Gordon Freeman and here a crowbar. Beat some head crabs. Oh man, I honestly want to go through and play Half-Life again. I have Half-Life Source. I wonder if I should go through and play Half-Life Source just to get the Half-Life feel again. I will tell you guys, Half-Life is one of the earliest computer games I remember playing. And when I was playing it, all I remember is like the first area. You got that laser thing charged up and it wrecked everything. You're like, oh, whoa, I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally broke our experiment. And then you find like a power suit, but you don't have a weapon yet. And you're like, well, what do I do? What do I do? And then you go into the cafeteria and it's all wrecked. And you look in the microwave and there's a little head crab in there. I pushed the button and the freaking microwave turned on and it popped. Who would have thought to add that in the game? Somebody knew that me sitting in my chair at like 9 or 10 years old was going to sit down and be like, haha, I'm going to try and push the button on the microwave. And the microwave actually turned on. That's Valve. They're still doing it today with Dota 2. You deny a creep and your guy's like, ha, not so tough now, are you? I just denied your creep. And we're mortal enemies. So I'm going to insult your mother. And I'm going to talk about how I killed your family. Who thinks of these things? Valve does. And so things like that keep me playing the game. I've got a friend. My best friend plays Dota with me. And sometimes I can't figure out what he's doing because he's just standing there. And then I realize he is literally standing perfectly still, left clicking his hero, just to hear all the little phrases that the hero is going to say. He literally stands there and clicks his hero. And he's like, ha, did you know this hero says this? I'm like, we're playing a Dota game. You're supposed to be killing stuff. But no, we lose games. We lose games instead. And my party MMR goes consecutively downwards, while the TI4 prize pool goes upwards, and everybody is rejoicing in the background. Well, at least on the enemy team. I actually had an interesting matchup last night. I queued with some people. My party MMR is really low right now. It's down to, I think, 3,200. That has to do with some very messed up 5 stacks I am a part of, and we lose. We lose hard. But last night, I joined a 5 stack that wanted to win. And we won against a team of 5Ks. And I had I was queued with Nestle, aka Demir, aka the manager of Meet Your Makers, who is 5K rated. We had some 4Ks on our team, and then we had me at 3,200. We play against this team of 5Ks, and we crushed them. I got 44 MMR from one game, and every single one of those guys lost 4,400 MMR. They lost all of that MMR. That is more than, that's almost 2 games. Not more than 2 games. That's almost 2 games. That's like 2 hours of their life I stole from them, that they have to spend those 2 hours just to break even again. And it's all in my party MMR, and I'm just going to throw it away the next time I play with my friends. I'm going to throw it away like old news. And they're never going to get it back. They can't do anything about it. I took it from them last night by force. I played Enigma, and I black holed left and right. I didn't even care. One guy, black hole, we're going to just get the kill. I didn't try and set up anything perfect, but it worked. We made kills left and right, and we pushed their base, and we made necrobooks because we were tryhards. We were going to win Dota last night, and we won. And not only did we win, but shout out to PGG for inspiring me to play Enigma. And along the same lines of PGG, we talk about Russians in Dota. I talked about Navi US, and it does look like they're officially calling themselves that now. I think they called themselves Navi NA for a while, but they are officially Navi US. That's what they've decided. I had that discussion, I think, yesterday, where we weren't sure what they were calling themselves. But Navi US went to play Empire today in the Bounty Hunter series on Hitbox, the King of the Hill series for Hitbox. And I talked about how big this was for Navi. They had a chance to show us, are you ready for TI4? And they said, we're going to spend a couple more weeks in boot camp, and we'll get back to you. Navi US got crushed by Empire, who is saying, you know what? We aren't a qualifier team. We are an invite team. We are coming to win TI4. We are looking to crush Navi, crush Alliance, crush DK, crush Newbie, crush IG, crush EG, crush all the Gs coming to TI4. Because we're Empire, and we're going to build a great Russian empire in Dota 2 for everybody to respect. As we each take home $2 million a piece. Actually, no, that's not how it's going to be split up. What do they get? Like 50% of the total prize pool, which is $5 million. So $1 million a piece. Back to Russia, where they will convert it to rubles. And they'll buy, where did I put my Russian cigarettes? They'll buy packs of these unending. They will never run out. I don't even remember what these were called. But they'll buy these. These little filterless cigarettes with a nice little Russian stamp on the back. And they will never want again. And that's what they showed when they 3-0'd Na'Vi US in the Bounty Hunter series. They said, we're king of the hill. And we're not coming off the hill. And they're going into TI4. Is Empire actually... I need to look at my listing real quick. What was it? ESL1. What would that be called? Bracket? Yeah, bracket looks like what it is. Here we go, the bracket. Is Empire at ESL1? I completely blanked. It doesn't look like they are, so I think that's their last showing that we'll probably see from them before TI4. That's it. We'll see everybody else at ESL. Now, something interesting about ESL, since it does start on Saturday, I cast a game of Power Rangers, actually 3 games of Power Rangers just the other day. And I was like, oh, Power Rangers. But Scandal left Power Rangers a week before I was supposed to cast. I was like, man, I love Scandal. Scandal is like one of the inspirational players to me that I used to watch all the time. And I was like, well, if they don't have Scandal, they used to be referred to as Scandal +4. What are they now? So I was really bummed. I was like, man, Power Rangers. I don't even want to cast Power Rangers anymore. I go into the lobby and I see Dindy sitting in the lobby. And I said, what? Why is Dindy in the lobby? He was ringing for Power Rangers that entire group stages. So I got to see Dindy +4 instead of Scandal +4. It was actually my first time casting Dindy. I've cast IG, I've cast LGD, I've cast Vici, I've cast EG, I've cast Empire. I've never cast Na'Vi or Alliance. I've cast Fnatic. But now I've cast Dindy. One fifth of Na'Vi has been cast by me. I just have to cast the other 4 players and I'm good, right? And then I just got to get Alliance and DK. I haven't cast DK before. So part of the dream has occurred. And I'm wondering, since ESL is not happening till Saturday, maybe Dindy will be free on Friday to play in the games that I'm casting tomorrow. Because I'm casting some Power Rangers matches tomorrow, and I'm like, well, Dindy's in ESL. He won't be able to play in the GG League. But maybe now he will be able to. So we'll wait and see. But Power Rangers will have another stand-in for that. I just don't know who it is. I really hope that is Dindy. But realistically, it probably won't be. It was probably just a one-time thing. And no, I'm not a Dindy fanboy, guys. I just get excited when I get to cast tier 1 teams, real Dota, you know, because those opportunities really just kind of fall in my lap and I just take them, and it's like, it's kind of unexpected sometimes. So when Dindy pops up in a game you think it's just going to be potato Dota, and then suddenly it's Dindy that you're just casting, and it's like, you might as well be casting a pub game, but still it's Dindy, so it's fun, you know. But maybe Dindy will show up tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. So I can hope, right? I can hope. We can always hope for Power Rangers. Why can't you just cast an Alliance Na'Vi game? Well, the problem is those guys don't play in the tournaments that I cast. So let me explain how it works. You make a $15,000 tournament in China. You talk to ACE, ACE, which stands for something, 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 esports organization. And they say, okay, we'll give you DK, IG, LGD, Vici. They're all coming to your tournament. And you're like, okay, thank you, ACE. You can have a $5,000 tournament. You go to ACE. Okay, we'll give you the teams. Thank you, ACE. And DK plays in your tournament, whether it's a $5,000 prize pool, whether it's a $15,000 prize pool, whether it's a $100 billion prize pool in China, paid in rice. That would be a lot of rice, I think. Rice is pretty cheap. So $100 billion worth of rice. How much surface area would that cover? And now actually an interesting thought on that note. If you were buying up $100 billion worth of rice, as you were buying it up, you would inflate the rice. So rather than getting a linear amount of rice, you would actually cap yourself off at a certain amount, where a single grain of rice, because you started to buy up so much percentage of the rice in the world, would become exponentially more expensive. And so one grain of rice towards the end of your purchase would cover maybe 10,000 grains of rice towards the beginning. So maybe it wouldn't be all that much. Maybe it would just fill a warehouse, a very large warehouse. Maybe it would just fill the key arena in Seattle if you wanted to pay somebody in rice? I don't know. But my point was, it doesn't matter the prize pool in Eastern Dota. You just have to go to Ace and you'll get all the Chinese teams. In Western Dota, it works like this. Hey guys, $15,000 tournament's coming up. And Navi goes, what was that, a tournament? Wake us up at TI4. And they go back to sleep. They don't even care. They've made so much money. They like $15,000. Man, here, you want $15,000? I'll just throw some at you right now. No problem. Alliance, practically the same way now since winning TI3. So that's why I haven't cast them. Because I haven't cast a $50,000 tournament. I've cast a $15,000 tournament. That's the max that I've cast. So I've seen Empire. I've seen EG pop up. And of course I've cast Asian Dota. So I've cast all the big Asian teams except DK. And that's just how it goes. It's a simple matter of fact. They're not going to waste time. It's like the $1,500 tournaments. Team Liquid is playing in those. But I guarantee you, if Team Liquid started winning big tournaments, they wouldn't be playing in the $1,500 tournaments anymore. EG doesn't play in the $1,500 tournaments anymore, but Sad Boys did. But now they're sponsored. Now they've made money, so they don't need to waste time on that. They spend all their time getting ready for the big leagues, you know? And TI's destroying everything else. Well, it's just for the big teams. The little teams, it leaves more competition, I think, for the smaller teams. It allows them to start winning prize money. When there's not Na'Vi in a $1,500 tournament, it means somebody else is winning it. And when somebody else wins it, it means they bought themselves a pack of ramen that night so that they could eat, so that they can only play Dota and not do anything else, and so they can get better at Dota and they can live off of Dota. Because that's ultimately the goal a professional player is going to. You want to be able to pay yourself through your hours put into Dota. And by having these teams filter up to the big leagues, it opens up more room in the minor leagues. Because the small tournaments aren't disappearing. They're just getting different teams that are competing in them. The Defense was a $15,000 tournament when I started out in Dota, or joined Dota. I think it was $15,000. And that had every single biggest team in it because that was a big tournament. Now, there's $15,000 tournaments all the time. All the time. Those are the small tournaments. And you get all of the tier 2 teams competing for it, and the tier 2 teams are making money now. And that hasn't happened before this. Now we've got, like, you know, people might get insulted if I call them tier 2 teams, so maybe I shouldn't name names. But you've got people that weren't getting anything but maybe $800 online victory here or there, now getting a lot of money in esports. And they're actually getting paid salaries now. Since when is salaries a thing in esports? That was unheard of a few years ago. People would call you crazy. But no, now we've got salaried players making money, not being the best team. The money is filtering down. And eventually, as the high end grows, like, you have to think of TI kind of as the roof. If the roof's down here, if this is $1 million, then all the other stuff can only be up to here. When you raise the roof to here, at the next one, there's more room underneath for growth. And now TI4 is way up here. All of that room to grow for everything else. Because the sponsors want to be the next TI. They're shooting for Valve. Valve's the target, and Valve's always leading ahead. As long as they stay ahead of everyone else, then it leaves everyone else running forwards trying to catch up. The bad thing's going to be when people start catching Valve. Because then either Valve loses motivation or the people do. And the worst case scenario is Valve and the people both lose motivation. Because it both happen. Oh, well, TI is not anything special now. It's just another tournament. Why do we even run it? And meanwhile, the other tournaments, you know, they hit Valve and they're like, well, we did it. And then they're done. Because they don't have a goal anymore. So, I don't know, guys. That's what I think about it. I'm not talking communism, actually. That's like the basis of capitalism. The bigger the high end gets, the more money trickles down to everyone else. It's a trickle-down economy, and it's how a lot of society works in most cases. It's like a really good example of this that I have firsthand experience with is oil companies. Oil companies bring in a lot of revenue through the oil that they get. Because of this, they can afford to pay people like what I used to do, which was commercial diving offshore, a lot of money to do the work, which meant I was basically doing glorified construction work at a lot greater pay than a glorified construction worker, a lot greater pay than just a construction worker. And I was well fed and I was well looked after while I was out there. I think it's the same way with esports. If the big dog brings in a lot of money, that money's going to flow around into different hands. And that means eventually some of it gets to the little guy down here, me, when I go and make a workshop item and somebody wants it on a ticket. Because that ticket's going to be there waiting for me. I think you're misunderstanding when I'm saying it's going downwards. It's like the money flows throughout the entire esports crowd. It's not that the prize pools go back down. Tournaments will be forced. I don't think they're forced to, though, because if you look at Twitch, these guys are bringing in really good ad revenue. They're bringing in really good ticket sales without bringing in Navi and Alliance. You can get Virtus Pro and you can get decent ticket sales. You can get Fnatic, you can get decent ticket sales. You can get Empire, you can get decent ticket sales. You can get EG, you get decent ticket sales. Like you can get any of the tier 1.5 and higher teams, and you're going to get good ticket sales and you're going to make money. And that's what's important at the end of the day. Now, if you can make money off of 15,000, you can make money off a $500 tournament in Dota 2, then that means they're going to be at all levels because they're all making money. And it's just going to be different people running the different tournaments. So, who gets more than they get now? Well, Hefla, I never got paid to cast before recently. And I've made money off of casting. I've made more money off of casting than I have making items for the Dota 2 workshop. But that's because I've made no money off the Dota 2 workshop so far. But I hope to at some point. But as of right now, it's like a lot of my money I've made from casting over the past few months. Or just doing odd jobs for different esports organizations, whether it's anything graphical or just some behind the scenes stuff that they needed help with. I've made enough to get me by. You know, it's not like I'm making a lot of money, but that's not what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to establish myself as a professional. So I've got to eat it on the front end, you know, until I get established. Who can compete without money against tier 1? And who's protecting your players? I don't think you can protect the players from getting bought by tier 1 because I don't think you can pay for someone to be tier 1. That's a skill gap, and actually playing with people as a team. I think every tier 2 team will eventually be tier 1 just through hard work. And the organizations, there's always going to be smaller organizations and bigger ones. That's just how things work. Certain organizations, yeah, you might get bought out and lose your team, but then you build a new team, and that's going to be another tier 2 team for you to grow into a tier 1 team. And there's going to be farm teams. There's certainly going to be farm teams out there, I think, where your whole organization, all you do is make and sell teams. And that's going to be profitable as well. And maybe that's something some of y'all want to look into. Hey, all I want to do is pump out professional players. It's certainly something viable. If you want to pump out professional players, you put them in a solid environment to grow, and you give them proper coaching, and then you sell them to tier 1 teams. That might work. I don't know. But on that note, guys, that is pretty much all the news and a little bit of tangent at the end for you guys that I've got. I will be hanging around afterwards, of course, for the usual Dota games for you guys that want to hang around and interact with me a little more. But that will be the end of episode 4 of FletchDota. Of course, June 26, 2014. We've almost made it through an entire week. Episode 5 will be the end of this week, and I'll start back up next Monday with episode 6. But I'm excited, guys. First week, and maybe next week we'll actually have a proper studio starting to come together that you guys can see and enjoy. And again, thank you all for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/FletchDota. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/masterfletch. If you want to get in touch with me, send me messages through either of those. I read my messages and I love the feedback. I love ideas and suggestions. If you see something cool that you think should be on the show, let me know and maybe it'll be on the show. I've already had a few things come through that I've popped up on the show because people have suggested it to me. And of course, just anything you think can be improved. I'm looking for improvement because I'm looking to grow as... Do I call myself a production studio or do I just call myself a person? I'm looking to grow at both of those. As a studio and as a person, as an individual, I'm looking to grow into actually having something worth watching for you guys. And if this can actually take off where I can actually put out a quality product and you guys can enjoy it, then we all win. So definitely love to hear back from you guys, and I hope to see y'all next time.